Hey there, welcome to Science Fiction. I am Salim Suterwalla, and as always, I'm joined by my friend and host, Carl Eames. Carl, how are you?
I'm doing great and just ready to have a nice, exciting evening talking about some more sci-fi stuff. No, have you been watching? You've been keeping up with She-Hulk, right?
Last two episodes I didn't watch. I kind of on. I got so busy that I kept forgetting to check it out. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna watch them tonight for sure. I'm gonna remember because I'm working from home tomorrow, so I should I should be able to just pop them on after we're done here and finish the last two episodes. Um, God damn, headset keeps falling off. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. The first episode I already liked for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I gotta plug in my laptop because I just realized I didn't do that, and the charger is gonna die.
Maybe that's why we're a little staticky. Your static is back in your mic.
Oh, that's weird.
But hopefully that'll set that straight. But we do have a couple of fast flicks that we want to go over before we start our main topic, which is, again, we're going to talk about um, 3,000 Years of Longing as well as Day Shift. But once again, fast flicks real quick.
All right.
So the first one.
Okay.
I'll go. Yeah, I was already. The first fast flicks for tonight. We're going to talk about super fast. Actually, I don't remember if we actually discussed at any point the fact that there is a Wonder Man Disney Plus show that was announced. It's not on the Phase 5 slate or the Phase 6 slate that we went over like a month ago, but there was a Wonder Man series announced for Marvel for Disney Plus. So we don't know when we're going to see that at all. But there is also news on that. So we are going to see this character played by Ben Kingsley. Remember Trevor Slattery, the not Mandarin character? He was, teased as Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and then you figure out he's not Mandarin, and then he showed up in Shang-Chi as, again, being Trevor Slattery. So this character is going to come back, and he's going to be in the Wonder Man series with some capacity. We don't know the full story yet, but we will have more of Trevor Slattery. So if you like that character in Shang-Chi, we'll pick up from his story from there, or figure out what happened between Shang-Chi and whenever Wonder Man takes place.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the Wonder Man is in the comics. He's a character called Simon Williams that is son of like a wealthy industrialist. Um, and I guess there's like a connection where the company falls in hard times due to like competing with Tony Stark. So like with Stark Industries. So um, then Williams, I guess he gets his powers from like Baron Zemo or something like that because he like takes Baron Zemo's help, and then he ultimately fights the Avengers, and then eventually joins their ranks. So will be interesting. It's not like a so I haven't heard about Wonder Man really. I mean, I don't know how popular of a character he is too much. I think he was part of. Um, I think he's in that Avengers mighty the mighty Avengers the
Earth's Mightiest
Earth's
Heroes.
Mightiest Heroes. He's in there
Mm-hmm.
because he's not like and that they show him as a villain, but like it's eventually he's more of a villain by circumstances because Zemo promises him that he can fix him or something like that. Um, but then he eventually ends up doing like a noble thing later in I can't remember season 1 or 2, but yeah, it'll
It's
be interesting.
more like season. I think it was more season two because season one he was a villain, but he was like realizing that he wasn't like an actual evil person. He was just kind of caught in the rock and hard place, and then eventually he came around and joined the team in season two of that show. But that is kind of like how his comic book story is, for what it's worth. Um, but yeah, he's a character again showing Ben Kingsley. That's this. He's gonna be Trevor Slattery, not Wonder Man. Like that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
We actually kind of had like a teaser. I think it was a deleted scene of Wonder Man played by darn, I can't think of his name now. Um, the guy from what was it, Firefly or whatever. But I think they ended up deleting that, so they may not use him again to actually be Simon Williams. But we'll see. We don't have any official announcements on who actually will be Wonder Man, but Trevor Slattery will be showing up in that show. But like for again. To adjust what Q's asking, Wonder Man is basically he's super strong, he's super and durable, he basically can't be killed or damaged in any conventional kind of way.
It's like
Um,
he has ionic superpowers, like basically something that like affects his like chemical, his body and things. Like he's basically is not like normal anymore in a sense.
mhm. And yeah, so he can make himself super durable, and he's super strong and can fly a little bit and stuff. Again, he was starting off as a villain, working with the was it Masters of Evil? I guess I
Yeah,
can't
the
remember. Yeah,
Whoever Baron
Baron Zemo.
Zemo's team is.
Yeah, he started off with them, but then he realized more of an error in his ways. He's also his brain patterns are what the original comic book Vision was like. His brain patterns are based off of Simon Williams originally.
Yeah.
So technically, Wanda fell in love with Wonder Man, but it was the synthesoid body of Vision. There's 1,000 versions of Marvel's
So,
versions of Superman, so yeah, he kind of
so
is
in
one of those.
general, like even DC has like versions of Superman. Superman like was the original like build off of the different like his superpowers being like copied in a sense. Also, I want to know like Baron. It'll be interesting to see if Baron Zemo's in this. I know Baron Zemo is much different in the MCU than what he's in the comics. Obviously, they changed his storyline because of Civil War, but they were the way they're setting that up. But Baron Zemo in the comics, Baron Zemo is like a Hydra creation. And like his father was a Hydra part of Hydra, and then he somehow becomes part of Hydra too. I can't remember exactly, but he's very much like a bad guy in the Marvel in the comics. Obviously, MCU has kind of showed him while kind of having like being the villain in Civil War. You kind of see him um, do something good in a sense in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like he's not technically a bad guy in that show. And then I'm going forward, he's supposed to appear, I think, in Thunderbolts. Uh, that was a rumor about that, what we had talked about before. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Baron Zemo shows up in this show too. But yeah, just wanted to kind of comment on that because I know Baron Zemo in the Marvel comics is much different than who he is in this MCU universe. I don't know if you had any final thoughts. I know we wanted to have move on to our Nope conversation.
Mhm.
Just a little fast flick on that. I guess it was. I don't know if it was mostly based on fan theory where they started talking about this character that was uncredited, um, simply named like Nobody, like the character that was like Nobody, and then fan theory started going, array, and then they asked Jordan Peele about it, and he was saying that he said so. There's a quote here I have from him saying he's hinting that we're not telling all these stories. We're not overtelling all these stories. The story of that character has yet to be told. I can tell you that. Peel said, referencing the IMDb credit, which is another frustrating way of saying, I'm glad people are paying attention. I do think they will get more answers on some of these things in the future. We're not overtelling all these stories, like I said before. So um, it's kind of interesting to hear about a sequel. I don't know if this movie needs a sequel because I think that the first uh, like part one, if you will. I think it was good on its own, and I think like the message was sold and hammered in for what like when we discussed it in detail on our show. Um, Maybe I can see a spin-off, maybe because there's something other stuff going on, but a sequel would be. I don't know how they would do a sequel. That's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, just for the record, like it's been a couple weeks since we discussed Nope, and this like I guess the fans I can't even remember exactly when the movie hit theaters, but people were pretty eagle eye early on. So again, this character is uncredited, or I should say, it's credited as Nobody in
Nobody. Yeah.
IMDb, or excuse me,
Right.
Nobody in IMDb, but is actually in the trailer but just not in the movie officially. So he was cut, maybe deleted scenes or what have you. But that's the guy right in the middle here is supposed to be this Nobody character, and people just asked about it. So whether or not we actually see them, or if they, Jordan Peele's already said, like you quoted, that apparently he's got more story to tell with this. So I kind of felt like at both of the there was more to tell because there's so much that we don't know about the monster or alien or whatever it is, as well as, I mean, like, is there more of it? Like, why would it just be the one, and never any other ones that would be trying to, I guess, feed on humans and stuff like that? And then the fact that this Nobody character exists, is that, is it, is he involved? Is it possibly an alien? Is it someone manipulating everything and make it seem like the cloud thing, bed sheets, were actually an alien or something like that? So it raises a lot of questions. So it does leave the door open for more story to be told. But at the same time, when we were discussing this, I don't think you knew about the Nobody character, because I certainly didn't. So
No.
leaving the movie the way that it was, like, it was like a one and done, a good one and done movie, right? Like, we were totally fine with it being that story and nothing else to it. So yeah, like, I don't need there to be more, because I'm totally okay with some movies just leaving things to interpretation, and that not every single thing needs to be fully explained, and not every single thing needs to have a concrete ending. That is just more of, let fans fill in the blanks, and let fans speculate, and let them think, and try to figure things out. But if there is more, like I guess as long as it's good, right? Like as long as the second movie is good, if they actually make it, I don't mind.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm not gonna be like picketing and protesting it or anything. I
Hmm.
just don't know why if it's needed, and we'll see. Maybe there's, like I said, maybe there's more of a spin off than a sequel. Um, just my speculation more so than
Hmm.
anything. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, definitely it could be. It could. I mean, if there's a story there to flesh out, I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. They usually do. So, but yeah, the next fast flick we have, we've talked about Ezra Miller like ad nauseum on here with the Flash and wondering what's going to happen with this movie, if they're going to cancel it, and they've moved it again. And I know they've added. We've talked about how they've added Ben Affleck to the movie, or more scenes with Ben Affleck in the movie. I should say he was always part of the movie, but more scenes with Ben Affleck. But I guess they did a test screening, and the scores were at the highest test screening since Nolan's Batman movies. Um, and I don't know if that means just in general for comic book movies, or if they meant just for DC. Um, as far as test screening is concerned, I'm guessing they only meant for DC because um, I'm guessing. I don't know. I was like trying to find that. I don't know if you saw that anywhere else. If
Yeah,
you
I
looked
would
into
be
it.
confident to say that it would be just for DC, because if it's not, then
Yeah.
that means that the Nolan films are like the highest screening, films of all time. I don't think
Right,
so.
right. That's what I'm. But I didn't know if they meant just comic book movies in general, or if they meant just specifically for DC. And I'm assuming that meant for DC for sure. Um, so yeah, like we talked, you remember all the trouble that Ezra has gotten into. It appears like Warner Brothers is still very confident in this film because of the way it's performed for the test audience. And I guess this really is a sign that they're going to finish this movie, and or if it's not finished yet, I know they're reshooting some stuff, um, and it's going to come out at some point if they don't keep moving it. We'll find out if next week they decide to move it to like 2025 for some reason. But yeah, so this movie's going to happen. What are your thoughts? Like, are you now more interested because of these scores, or have you changed your mind and say, you know what, okay, let's see what they can do, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'm relatively indifferent. I mean, like I know we've been talking, like I said, ad nauseum about whether or not they should cancel it, but I think I've said multiple times that the WB is in a tough spot because this is a very important movie for what they plan on doing with DC, whatever that is exactly, we don't know, but it's supposed to be changing the landscape significantly, as well
Right,
as they've spent a lot of money on it. And to recast, and even if it's just got Grant Gustin or some other guy that might look really good, they would have to reshoot the whole movie all over again, and that's a lot of money wasted. So I don't think that, I mean, they wrote off Batgirl, but even that's like a low budget movie. This is a big budget movie, and they have to reshoot the whole movie again. I don't think so. So they're just gonna
right,
roll with it and hope. And I think they were just like holding on to the thread that he would get his act together. And it took him a little while because everything was just kind of snowballing for him. But uh, for Ezra, I think like recently they've apologized, and that they're doing like some counseling and stuff like that. So things are looking better, but there's still like the perceptions out there. People already know what's happened. There's a lot of damage has been done, so a lot of people are going to be anti this movie. They're going to be just not interested in the movie, and so on. So it's going to be a hard sell. That first trailer has got to be a freaking banger of a trailer to get people back on board. but I think they are pretty much they have to commit to it because they've already shot it, they've already spent the money, and there's no real backing out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like this just gives them more like reason to finish and commit to it because the fact that people like it, and in the end, money trumps everything for Hollywood and just everyone. Really, like they don't, people just care about making the money. And if the this audience scores is good and the hype then starts, getting there for them, they'll just be like, well, they'll start seeing the dollar signs, like, oh, can we get $1 billion for this movie? Maybe that's a possibility at the box offices worldwide. Can we hit the mark? So yeah, definitely, it's 100% going to get made. Then they're not going to do Ezra Miller anymore for all the reasons that you mentioned, and also because it's just testing null now. So we'll see what the final product looks like when it comes out. But it was interesting to see that it did. But even with all this chaos happening with Ezra Miller, the movie itself sounds like it's going to be good. So we'll see. Um, Now this one, so this is a movie that's going to come out on Netflix. Is based off of a very popular video game called BioShock. I'm not the video game guy, and you said that you haven't played, you have it, but you haven't played it yet. Um,
Uh-huh.
right. So
That's correct.
yeah. So now this movie, like, so it was supposed to be made a while ago. Like they had tried to um, get like the not Netflix, but they had tried to get the guy who did Pirates of the Caribbean and The Ring, the director. It was like Gore Verbinski or something like that. But things like fell apart with the creative team and Universal Studios, um, and like I guess it was because of the R rating and the combination of price tag. But I guess eventually, Netflix ended up picking it up, and they announced that they partnered with 2K to take Two Interactive to produce a live action movie based on the game. So they're finally going to do it, and um, a couple of tidbits. So obviously, the one of them being that they got Michael Green. So he was the highly acclaimed writer that wrote, or sorry, I should say, he's the writer that wrote the highly acclaimed comic movie Logan, the Hugh Jackman one. And then Green also has written Blade Runner 2049, Jungle Cruise, American Gods, and Heroes. And then Netflix also got Francis Lawrence to direct the project, and his work includes Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Hunger Games, Mockingbird Part 1 and 2, so the Hunger Games series. And he's currently directing the prequel project, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Um, so yeah, so I mean, it looks like this Netflix is going out, and I know we're going to be talking about a Netflix movie later in the show, but Netflix is really going in, and this is a bigger like production as far as like considering like the names and the director and like the writer that they got. Like the writer has written a lot of good movies, just from the ones that I named. Um, and obviously, video game movies are always very, um, they always tend to flop more than they hit. But yeah, it seems like Netflix is really trying to pull all the right levers here to make this movie happen. Are you interested in the thoughts of this movie? Will that make you finally play the video game that you bought a while ago and it's been sitting there?
Probably not. Like I have so much of a big backlog on stuff. But like I mean, if the trailer looks good, like I would still be interested in checking out the movie. So just out of like obligation, not even just for this show, but just as a gamer and a nerd, I would just at least watch it. It's because I don't like listening to critics. You got to check it out yourself. And I know a little bit. Like I've watched people play the game. I've seen some stuff. Like I know enough about the game to know what they should be doing in the movies to follow it enough. So yeah, I would still check it out. I'm not like super jazzed about it. Like I don't care because again, like you said, most video game movies not that great. Also, most Netflix adaptations not that great. So I don't have a lot of faith in what's gonna happen with this. But you never know. Every even Uncharted, which is on Netflix now, wasn't half bad of a movie. One of the one of the best video game movies, and it's not even like great. It's just okay. So we'll see. But yeah, like it'll if it does happen, I think one thing I don't know if the visuals like seeing I'm not even gonna attempt the names right now, but like the big one in the middle, I think that's a little daddy or something. I don't know. But seeing stuff like this is either going to excite people like they don't if you don't know anything about the game or the characters and stuff, it's going to excite you because you see the big drill and like some steampunk designs, or it's going to completely turn you off and you have no idea what's happening. So you know even that's going to
Right.
be hit or miss.
Right. I mean, I liked Uncharted. I thought it was a good movie. Like it was fun. For what it is, like it's not obviously uh, some kind of like Academy Awards movie or anything like that, obviously. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought it was a fun movie. And it looks like they're gonna make a sequel of that at some point, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, this movie I'll check it out just because I like these types of movies. I've never played the video game, and I never will because I just don't play video games. And if I do play video games, it's only like comic book related video games or like stuff like that, like Arkham or some Spider-Man game or something like that. If I ever decide to play or want to get into it, but yeah,
But you should be playing
so
that Spider-Man game, but you
I
don't have a
should.
PlayStation.
I don't. That's the only thing. That do I want to spend that much money just to play one video game? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, there's two of them. There's a
Yeah,
Miles Morales game too.
true. We'll see. But anyways, let's get into our main two topics. So the first one is going to be Day Shift. That movie was on Netflix. We do have the official trailer here, so we'll play that really quick just in case anyone has not seen that and just kind of familiarize with them with what Day Shift is.
It's gonna be a hot one in Los Angeles.
So what's on the agenda today?
My eyes are closed.
Like every day.
What are you doing in my room?
Hunting vampires. Money.
Vampire hunting is a business. Cut necks and cash your checks. Well, things have changed since you got your ass kicked out the union.
If I don't come up with 10K, my wife and my daughter are gonna move to Florida.
You're late again.
And the union is the only place that could give me that kind of money.
Your record is chock full of incidents. But he's a new man.
One last chance.
This is your final warning.
Let's get cracking.
Oh, no!
Vampires just tried to kill me. Now I just pissed my favorite fucking
Hey, everybody pisses themselves the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you?
No, I didn't. But listen, look, you did. You know what I see when I see a vamp? Big old dollar sign. Hey, don't you puke in here. I swallowed it.
Locked and loaded. Doggy dog in the motherfucking
Vampires. They live amongst us. And all they are is murderers, It's not eclipse, new moon, breaking dawn part one. It ain't like that, all right?
Why do you know the names to all the specific Twilight films? What? And what's your gripe with Breaking Dawn Part 2? It's the exciting conclusion of the whole Twilight saga.
Welcome to the day shift, motherfucker. Works every time.
Murder was the case that they gave me.
So that was the trailer for Day Shift. Carl, I'll let you start off first. What were your thoughts on the movie? What did you think about everything that about like the characters and the storyline and all that stuff, the concept too?
So, Dave Chef is a pretty fun movie. I enjoyed it. I again didn't love it, but I had a good time. Wasn't like the most like incredibly well written, like you said, not the Oscar award winning. Not gonna get like the best writing or visual effects or anything like that, and it doesn't need to be. It's kind of a again, basic story just to get something out there and then have Jamie Foxx be Jamie Foxx and be funny and put him in these unique situations, funny situations. Again, you're killing vampires. All that stuff is it's just a fun movie, a good action. It actually has pretty solid action, which like the trailer was saying, made by the people that made John Wick. So there was a lot of good gunplay in this movie. Like I was actually really impressed with it. Just just a lot of gunplay, a lot of
Right.
good fun tricks, and we'll get to some of the other characters and stuff too. But just doing something a little different with vampires and still having a lot of the stuff that you understand, like they're weak to wood and silver and garlic, like all of that stuff still there. But in this case, the setting's in Los Angeles, which be it as may, like most of the time we don't see that sort of thing. And seeing also in this like urban part, like it's an urban Los Angeles. It's not any type of countryside or any type of suburb or anything like that. It's just a fun movie. Again, it's not the best writing. I don't expect there to be a sequel. Again, it's called Day Shift specifically because he does this. He's like a bounty hunter for vampires, and he gets rehired because he actually got fired from that before, but rehired to work the day shift of collecting vampires and specifically their teeth, so he can sell those to make money for some reason. And as opposed to the night shift is better because as vampires they're out at night. So but yeah, like I thought it was really cool. And yeah, like I said, I don't expect there to be a sequel for it, but I'm totally like I wouldn't mind going back in that world if they decided to create more something more substantial and like actually have a reason to make a sequel.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was a fun movie. I thought it was interesting, like the way they had like the different type of vampires. It almost like it was like snakes, like the different type of like snakes that are like copperhead and king cobras and rattlers. Like they are like they're rattling the different things that this vampires they can do and where they hang out, and they have like certain things that happen to them, and some don't. Some the way they die, they have to have like silver to the head, and you have to shoot them in the heart or something like that. Like there's various different things, like ways to kill the vampire, and some you can just do a certain thing, others you have to do a certain thing, and then also they explain like a little thing by how when a kid vampire like bites somebody, they don't become full vampires, so they can't ingest human blood, so they just ingest like rodents and like animals and things like that. And they were just talking about all these different things that like I can't remember another vampire movie having that many nuance of vampires, like with the type of vampires and like the very different things like that. It just straight up like obviously everyone has the different vampire lore, but like it's pretty standard. Like yeah, we're gonna bite you, and either that's going to turn you into a vampire, or you'll have to ingest your blood and turn into a vampire. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like they don't have like so many nuanced, versions of vampire or types of vampire, or species of vampires, if you will. So that was pretty cool. I would say I wish it was a little longer because there it so the like the first let's say the first 45 to 50 minutes is really going. It's smooth, right? It's running smoothly. There's no issues with like storytelling and the plot, but then they kind of rush it because and maybe we'll talk about this later, but like I feel like so in the movie they show that he kills the main bad guy vampire's daughter, essentially. Sorry, that's a spoiler. I apologize.
That was in technically that was in the trailer.
It's true. So that person, that vampire, I should say, the is now out to get revenge on him, and he's hunting him down, hunting his family down, or whatever, trying to find out where he is. And I guess they put they show a familiar in lore is somebody that is kind of sired to the vampire, like a alpha vampire. They're kind of the sire to them. That's what the familiar technically is. And they show that they send this familiar to live in the same apartment complex with them, and she later talks about I was supposed to get close to you, but it only had one interaction. It's like, how is that getting close to him? That's just like he helps her with her laundry or whatever. And
I thought I had a miss when that came up. It was like, wait, did I miss something? Because
that was literally one scene. Like, how did they get close? Like from that, so that was kind of weird. Not weird, but I was just like, there wasn't long enough to explain that. And then also in the end, what happens to Dave Franco's character was just kind of sudden. It's like there's no explanation for the way he can turn. Obviously that how you can turn, but it was just kind of abrupt. I just thought, I don't know, so I just feel like if they made it longer, they could have probably fleshed some of these little things out. But I thought the movie was fun. I didn't have an issue with it. It was kind of nonstop action, fun and funny. Jamie Foxx is funny. I can't remember. There's this one line he says in there that I just can't remember now, but it cracked me up. But I can't remember now. I'm mad at myself.
But on that note of Dave Franco and being so abrupt, what has also struck me as weird is that after he turns, right, because that was also that was super abrupt too. All of a sudden he shows up. He's just unconscious in their house, and he was already been bitten, and he gets turned.
Or I thought it was unjust. I don't know. Maybe was it bitten or was it because unjust?
I wasn't sure. I'm not sure.
I saw blood was smeared on his face, so I don't know if they were hinting that they ingested the blood. That's why that they killed. That's how generally one of the lures, general vampire lures, is you ingest the blood and then they kill you and then you come back as a vampire.
Mm-hmm. But what was weird is that at the final scene, we go the entire movie him being this timid, very meek and weak guy that is pissing his pants, and he already got decapitated by Jamie Foxx in the movie and stuff like that. But when we get to the final set piece, he's like this badass dude just flying around and sliding and dodging bullets and killing all the other enemy vampires. He'd been doing it for ages and stuff. And wait a second, didn't you just become a vampire? And did you not know how to fight before, but all of a sudden you're an expert martial artist and know how to use your powers and stuff? What happened?
I don't know if it's just assumed that becoming a vampire gives you these abilities that you just have. Maybe that's a case. I don't know.
Well, even then, he's fighting other vampires. It's not like
no,
if that
correct,
was the case, wouldn't they be able to do the same thing?
Yeah. Correct. And it's just interesting. And then the other thing they don't it was odd that they didn't really explain, because you see him, when he cuts his head off and he's one of the vampires that like you can't just cut his head off. You have to do like something else to them to kill them.
Mhm.
And I think what do they call it? Uber vampire, the Uber vamps. I think that's what he turns into, an Uber vamp or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So they're showing his head is constantly like it's because he's trying to have it like melt back together, and his neck is saying that, and he's holding it, and then you're seeing like essentially it keeps like rocking back forward like a bobblehead almost because like it was severed. And then all of a sudden, like I don't know if it was because of the blood he drank that all of a sudden he gets up and his neck is completely cured. You know, it's 100%. There's no scar or anything. So that was kind of weird too. Like I'm assuming it was because she gives the sired character that's sired to the main vampire gives him like a pack of blood.
Mm-hmm.
We see that, so I don't know if that's what
That was my assumption, is that because he wasn't trying to like kill or eat anybody to heal up, so that was the only way that he can get substance and he got strength from out of that to that I mean that's what it was implied to me.
Okay, yeah, I guess I assume, but yeah, like I said, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good movie. Like I think I would recommend anyone that wants to just kind of chill out on a Saturday night or even a weekday after work, that you're just trying to like just kind of shut your mind off. This is a good movie to do that with.
Yeah, super fast movie. It's not going to take you long. It's like an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah, maybe hour and 50, but yeah, I can't remember. But it's like I said, I thought it should have been a little longer because of those certain parts. But yeah, it's not like a long movie. It's not your traditional like 2 hours, 15 minutes, type of movie.
Do you have any thoughts or any feelings towards our main antagonist? By the way, her name was Audrey in the movie.
Yeah, so she was. I mean, I haven't seen her before in anything. I can't remember what she's been in. And I can't, and one thing I don't remember is how old she is. And I don't know, like I'm assuming like in all vampire lores and stuff, like age, like when you become a vampire makes a difference on your strength and things like that. So
I think they said she was like 1,000 years old, but I'd have to look that up for sure.
Okay, so, but the weird thing is because her daughter is like old,
right? Yeah.
So like it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, like, that made me confused that maybe she wasn't that old because maybe she got turned after she had her daughter.
I think I don't necessarily know if they mean daughter in the sense of like biological, had her,
Oh, that's
that
true.
sort of
Maybe
thing.
she
It's more like
turned
inherited. Yeah, like that sort of thing, where they turned her and she's adopted by that type of thing, like raised by her sort of thing, not necessarily had like she had a husband and they had 9 months of gestation and had a baby. I don't think it's that, especially because again, the sense that vampires they live forever, so they're not going to die of natural causes. And for whatever reason, she either retained her youth, or she had the ability to restore her youth, or we don't know that backstory. Again, this character is old, but then her daughter looks old by human standards, so we don't know the full backstory of all that.
Right. But yeah,
go ahead.
No, I just saying, I thought she was fine. She was good. Like she was like a solid villain character. It was kind of, she kind of reminded me of like a mix of like what's her name? Catherine Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, and what's her name? The lady from Modern Family. This is Hispanic
Sofia
lady.
Vergara.
Yeah, Sofia Vergara. She kind of, I feel like I got that feel like a mix of those two.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, but I thought she was good. Like I didn't think she was convincing as a villain. She was kind of like a badass, and yeah, those are my thoughts.
I also, I mean, at least for me, I thought this was like her like second hand man sort of person, and I thought for me this was just like a Dracula homage with his hair with the white streaks on the side, like just kind of just throwing it in there. Didn't have
Right.
to, but I felt like he's not Dracula, but I felt like
Hmm.
that's what they were doing with this character. So just thought I'd throw that
Yeah,
in there.
he's like her bodyguard or her like right hand man or whatever.
And then I also really really like these brothers. They were
Yeah.
basically the main character. His name is Bud. So these were Bud's rivals basically in collecting vampire teeth and making money and stuff. And I really enjoyed seeing them. The guy on the right, seeing him in particular, because I watched Shameless a lot, so he was in that show. But these guys were a hoot, and again, a lot of great gunplay in this movie, especially with
Yeah.
these two. Uh,
And this scene in particular, when they're about to go in this house, there's a lot of fun like gunplay and the way they kill the vamps. It's really cool.
Nomad, this movie is Day Shift. It's on Netflix right now. Day Shift. But yeah, they had the one scene where he's like, "Yo, send me one," and he's like, took the bullet out and he tossed it to him, and
He does like a
caught it in the
flip or
gun.
something. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like it's this wild flip and it catches it, and yeah, it was definitely yeah, they were cool.
alrighty. Any other final thoughts on the movie?
No, like I said, I think it's a fun movie. Oh, Snoop Dogg's character.
Oh yeah. I meant to
He
ask you
so
that.
he yeah, so he wasn't in it as much as I thought. Like, I mean, he had like a bigger role than like you would think, but at the same time, I thought he was gonna be like in it consistently throughout, not just in the very beginning and then shows up in the end as well. But yeah, he was like Snoop was Snoop, man. He was just like you would. It's like yeah, this is if Snoop was a vampire slayer, this is how he would be. This is how I would picture it. This cool
was
guy.
weird. It was cool, but it was like so weird at the same time because, like you said, he's still Snoop. Like you can't
Yeah,
separate his voice and his look whatsoever when you see him, despite the cowboy hat and clothes and the big machine gun and all of that stuff. Is like no, that's still Snoop Dogg though.
yeah. You know what's funny? Like all the older women are like telling him to call him, and it's like, and then you forget like Snoop is pretty old, man. It's like he doesn't
Yeah.
look his age at all.
No.
Like he probably looks like he's probably like 50s, but he's like closer to 70, isn't he? Like or not. Or maybe not that old, man. I don't know. He's pretty old. I thought he might be in his 60s. I gotta double check this. I gotta double check because I'm pretty sure he's not that young.
1971, so he is.
Oh, okay. So 50. Oh, he is 50.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, 50. Math.
Oh, he is 50. Okay.
Mm.
But still, he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't look like that old either. I guess I should say. I don't know. But yeah, like it's just funny. Kind of, they had these like older, like not older, like on the older side. Like they weren't like super young women, but they were all every single one were just like call me. It was kind of funny. But yeah, that's all I got on that. And our next movie is 3,000 Years of Longing. We do have a trailer for that. Now I didn't watch this movie just because I didn't have the time. Carl, you did, so we'll play the trailer and then I'll let you get into your thoughts on the movie, and then I'll ask any questions that I may have.
All right, let's go ahead and play that trailer.
My name is Alethea. My story is true. I am a solitary creature by nature. I have no children, no siblings, no parents. I did once have a husband. If there is fate, who can say? But in the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul, I chose a memento. I like it. Whatever it is, I'm sure it has an interesting story.
So, what will you wish for?
What is your heart's desire?
I do have a question. What does one do with 3 wishes?
You'll see.
Oh. There's no story about wishing that is not a cautionary tale.
We all have desires, even if they remain hidden from us. But it is your story, and I cannot wait to see where it goes.
Oh, how it might end. Hello. Hello. He'll be staying for a while. I'm beginning to wish we'd never met.
Don't say that! Make a wish! Save yourself!
I have a wish.
So that is the trailer for 3,000 Years of Longing. Carl, I'll let you lead off and give us your thoughts on the movie. It's a quick, interesting note. Like, I was curious to see what like the Rotten Tomatoes rankings ended up being for this, and they're pretty even on both the audience and on the critics side. They're both, so the critics have it at 71%, and the audience at 73%. That's pretty like even split as far as the thoughts on this movie. But yeah, go ahead and give us your thoughts on what you thought about this movie.
Yeah, and then I think it's a pretty fair rating, to be honest with you. So I think this is one going into this again. I'm pretty sure this is an existing thing, that like a book or something like that that was adapted, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't do any research, and I'm not familiar with it. But going into this, especially watching this trailer and being reminded about it, I was expecting this to be some wild ride of a story where you have this very plain Jane woman that somehow gets a genie, and then she makes a wish and things changes in her life, and all of this wacky stuff happens to her. And that's the movie. That's what I was expecting going into it. That is not at all what this movie is about. So this movie is actually a love story. It's kind of basically a rom-com for what it's worth.
Really?
Yeah. So it's actually that, and it's still a good movie, a good story, but it isn't at all. And it's, again, even watching the trailer and you hear that music, it's such wild and energetic, and you think it's like some crazy stuff happening. And yeah, it kind of has crazy stuff happening. Like, so what happens is he's telling her stories. And literally, like what you see in the trailer, him in the bathrobe and she's in, they're in the hotel room, whatever. Half of the movie, maybe more than half of the movie, that's all they do, is that they're in this this hotel room, in their bathrobes, and he's telling her stories, and he's like literally just sitting there telling her, and they're in that room for the overwhelming majority of the movie. But the stories are illustrated, the stories are acted out, and you see all the characters, and that's where all of the wacky things happen, is in those stories, and all of those colorful environments, and like the spiders and all of the other stuff are in his stories that he's telling her. So it's not happening to her. She's just learning about stuff that he's telling her. And even then, those aren't things that are happening to him. Some cases there are, but they're happening to just be events that were are surrounding what he was doing and his life and his adventures and stuff like that. So it was weird because again, I was expecting it was just going to be like one little backstory, but it was actually for the most part about three backstories that he was telling her. Uh, Again, he's just sitting there in the hotel room. So the movie itself didn't have crazy music. It was very, I don't know if it was like somber, if the right word, but it was very, maybe like tranquil, kind of easygoing, laid back. Um, Again, and he's just telling her these stories, and she's soaking it in. And as she said in the trailer, there isn't a movie about wishes and genies that isn't a cautionary tale. So basically, that's what this movie was. It was her cautionary tale, him telling her what happened to him, and then she's still locked in, like just like a traditional, like the person that opens the bottle, you have three wishes, and the only reason why she couldn't, like, and she was like obligated to wish him like the three wishes, she had to do it. One, because if she didn't do it, or someone doesn't wish three wishes, he would go invisible, like he would not be seen. And that's just like how genies work in this world, that if someone doesn't fulfill all three wishes, you are the genie, and you would become invisible, and no one would be able to see you. And that's one of the things that happened to him, and she explained that, or he explained that to her. I think that was his second story in there. But yeah, like, so she was kind of obligated in a way to make sure three wishes happened for him. And then the whole point for the three wishes is so that he would become free. Like, there is, obviously he's a genie, so they did kind of explain that there are other genies, or jinns is what they would call him, and they come from a different dimension, a different realm, if you will. So he has a place that he belongs. But once those three wishes are granted, he is free. But until those three wishes are granted, he is locked in. He's beholden to the person that released him. Um, and that was his whole mission the entire time. But
So
yeah, go ahead.
so they don't know each other like beforehand. She just finds this bottle, and that's how she finds him. Because obviously he's a genie, so it's not like, because in this it kind of make it almost look like they knew each other at, like, that they were they knew each other for a long time, and somehow or something like that. It's just kind of like, I found this bottle, and now I have this genie, and I need to make three wishes. And meanwhile, this genie is just telling me all these stories.
Right. Like, she lived a relatively boring life. Like she said, she has no kids. She has no parents, no siblings. She did have a husband once, and they did explain that a little bit. But for the most part, she lived a solitary life. She didn't go out. She did go out. Like, that was her thing that she did, is that she, like, once or twice a year, she would go traveling to China, to Australia, Africa, America, whatever, just to explore other cultures, and just to learn and stuff. But she was like a scholar, and just like a well read, like a literary scholar, and she just liked to travel, and that's it. She didn't do anything else with her life, and she just so happened to come across this glass. Like, this is what he's in at at the beginning of this story. But that's not the beginning of the movie. He's in this glass, but the beginning of his story, he's in a different bottle.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. So he can transfer bottles. He's not stuck to a certain like
Um,
almost genie show. Like in general, they have to be in their one specific lamp or whatever.
right. So there wasn't. It doesn't. It's possible for him to be in other objects, other bottles, I should say, because he did start in like a more of a golden one. But one thing that's interesting about this world is that it does subscribe to several things that do they do lean into. Um, if I remember correctly, so this character is. I don't remember her name. I'm trying to Sheba. I think it was named Sheba, right? So Sheba is basically like one of the things. Again, his name is Jin, and that's him on the left right here. You can see Jin. He is basically obsessed with women, and he like once he falls in love, he falls really hard. And that's what has got him in all of this trouble is that he's his love for women, not just all women, but the women that he loves. And he even described Sheba here as because Alethea asked, "Was she beautiful?" And he said, "No, she wasn't beautiful. She was beauty itself." So he was like super like into her in a way that's like transcendent. And so this woman, though, she also caught the eye of King Solomon, and that is like I'm pretty sure biblical King Solomon, if I remember correctly. So this world not only has that, but in a way that he like Solomon had like magical powers, and there were other characters that had magical powers. There were wizards and stuff. So this is not just like there's just genies and nothing else. There throughout the stories, there were lots of different characters with abilities, although he was the only genie in this movie.
Oh, okay, interesting. I think you had another still in here of him kind of maybe going into his bottle.
Right. So this one is I really wanted to point out just more of the visual style of the movie is what's the impressive part about this George Miller movie. Again, the stories are actually very interesting, and but it is not an action movie. It's not this huge set piece type of movie. I apologize if you hear my dog right now. But it's not that huge thing. It was more of these stories that have very distinctive visual style and art style and beauty to them. And then they have like the visual effects like the spiders and all the like here, this is him actually being trapped by Solomon and being imprisoned into a bottle, the gold bottle that he started this journey with because he was out like there is a thing about the genies or jinns, whatever they are, basically are a race, but again they're not humans. They all have hairy legs, like very hairy legs.
Oh, okay.
And uh and you can kind of see it here, but like they all have hairy legs. And Sheba here, she is actually half human half jinn because she also had hairy legs as well, but she wasn't fully human, she wasn't fully jinn. um so yeah, that's the whole thing. And yeah, like it's more of like this is a really creative mind and really interesting way of depicting a story. But like I said, it's not like some super hype movie where a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening. It is literally a love story because spoilers. She Alethea, the main character of the movie, does eventually figure out what her three wishes are because she doesn't do any wishes until after he's finishing telling his entire backstory of what happened, how he got from being with Sheba because they were in a relationship, and then King Solomon came and basically stole her heart away from him and then trapped him into the bottle. So he told his whole story from then all the way up until present, and then she gave her first wish, which was I want to love you, right? I want you to love me. And so they fell in love. and that was her first wish. And then the rest of them are, I'm not going to say what those wishes are, but uh, it's a love movie. It's a lot. I know a lot of people didn't like how they fell in love, is that she had to wish him to love her, because before all of that, he was really chill with her. Like I said, he loves women, and the women that he loved, there's basically two women in his story that he loved. Like he loved what's her name? I already forgot it. Um, Sheba, and then he loved another character named Zafir later on, and he loved her more than loves Sheba. But when he met Alethea, it wasn't like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, and I'll do anything for you." No, he was just like, "I'll grant you your wish. Thank you for freeing me. You have 3 wishes. Please wish whatever you want." And there's also rules to it. You can't do the "I wish for infinite wishes" sort of thing. He said that directly, and he said that your wishes have to be mortal. Basically, he has the power to do a lot of things, but he can't like make her immortal. He is immortal himself, but he still has there's still rules and stuff like that. So it just had to be within his abilities. But um yeah, she wished for him to be in love with her, and a lot of people had a lot of issues with that. And it is kind of awkward because he wasn't really in love with her, or even like showing any kind of desire for her before that.
So is he like is that just a one-off thing? Like that's the only time he's like a genie with her, and then he's free after the wishes? Like so he's never how does that work? Because he's saying like he would, was it like he's always a genie, but for some reason he was trapped in this thing and now he's free and he can be free when the 3 wishes happen? Like how does that work?
I don't know. I don't think they really went that far because, like I said, there's definitely more than one Jinn, but
Hmm.
they didn't show or talk about like other Jinns. But they acknowledged, because again, Sheba, she was half Jinn, and they said that it's possible for humans and Jinns to procreate and all of that. But and then he's from another realm, so at the end of the movie, he does go back, but they never show anyone else, and it doesn't really explain if it's possible for him to be like trapped in another bottle, and if someone else could have to wish him. Like they didn't really go that far.
Okay, interesting. So would you recommend this movie? Like do you think it's worth going to the theater for, or like it's a good movie, or
That's actually a good talking point that I wanted to bring up, is whether or not, because again, it's one of those movies that it's only in theaters right now, and there's a big push to get people back in the theaters. And they even had before the movie started, George Miller, the director, had a little screening saying, this movie was meant to be seen in theaters. Thank you for coming out and watching this and supporting cinema, stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, it's a beautiful movie, certainly. And again, to temper expectations, it is literally a rom-com, or not necessarily comedy, but it is a romantic movie. That's what it really is. And not an action movie, not so much a comedy. There's some funny things that happen in it. Um, but for what it's worth, I mean, I paid like $7 for this, so yeah, it was worth it. Um, to watch it because it was a matinee on a Tuesday. If I had watched it on like Thursday or Friday or something like that, I'd pay like $20 for it. I wouldn't have necessarily been upset because that's how it costs, but like I would have been like, yeah, I could have watched this at home, kind of feeling. And it's hard for me to justify that, like paying top dollar to watch this movie, because it's not a bad movie, it's a good movie, but you just have to temper your expectations. It's just whether or not um, this movie and other movies like it are even worth going to theaters to go see. And I know for you and I, especially science fiction, and we cover a lot of Marvel stuff, DC stuff, all the comic book things, and those movies are big budget summer blockbusters. And generally, Thor: Love and Thunder is worth the $20 ticket, $15 or whatever it is you pay for wherever you're at. Um, and other movies like it, but this movie it doesn't feel like it's worth that price, and it doesn't feel like it's worth that type of consideration, although it's still worth watching, you know?
No, I get it. That's an interesting note because like there's a lot of like the art films um, that aren't necessarily like people that go for blockbuster reasons. Like they go because they love movies and they love um, the artistic side of the movie or film the film industry, I should say, the artistic side of the film industry. So stuff like that, and yeah, it's one of those things where like these streaming services, it's just a convenience at home. You can, it's $30, sure, but technically, if you think about it, if you're taking a family to see a
Yeah.
movie, you're gonna end up paying probably like 60 to 100, depending on
If they want
tickets,
popcorn or not.
popcorn, snacks, and all that stuff. So
Right.
can I just get $30 and just throw on some microwave popcorn that I bought at Walmart? That's like $6. That has a bunch of popcorn in it, and just chill with my family at home. I have a family of the kids at home, and that way I can save that extra money for something else.
Especially
Or
with people like you're spending thousands of dollars on entertainment systems. You got like your TV, drop a couple grand on the sound system, and your comfy couch or bed or whatever it is.
right.
And you like you said, it's a lot cheaper if you can watch the movie at home on your big screen from the comfort of your couch. It's safe. You don't have to worry about wearing a mask. You don't have to worry about paying $15 for a bucket of popcorn. You don't have to spend gas to go to the movie theater and stuff. It's a hard sell, and I know they're grateful, and we don't want the movie theater scene to die, certainly, but it's hard to sell someone on a movie to go through all of that extra effort to watch a movie and all of that extra pricing to watch a movie if the movie isn't worth paying all of that extra cost for. It's not that it's not worth watching, but certainly, again, gas, popcorn, each seat watching it, and like a prime time slot, the 3D of it all, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many other costs associated to going to the theaters. What you're watching needs to be worth paying for.
No, 100%. So, but yeah, that's pretty much our show. Did you have any final thoughts that you wanted for anything that we talked about today?
Other than that, not really. Like I said, it's a really pretty movie though, and does have some really good visual effects. The stories are very good. Like I said, it's about pretty much three strong stories that he tells, and they are very interesting stories. And I was compelled uh, to just listen to it after I realized that this story wasn't going to get any crazier than what it is. It wasn't going to be some wild ride. It was just like, okay, so this is just a love story, and I just sat back and just like, yeah, this is really good. So as long as you have that expectation, and then I don't think you'll be disappointed. But if you want something else, then you probably should watch something else.
All right, cool. But yeah, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you again to Cliff, Matt, Matthew, Cheesy, Q, Nomad. I appreciate you guys joining us and watching the show again tonight. Like I said, if you have missed any previous shows, you can catch us obviously on the YouTube Barroom Network channel, or just check our audio side out as well. They're available on all podcast platforms, and check out all the other great shows that are on Barroom Network. Still, my last episode with Bulls Gold with Ronnie Brewer Jr. So go check that out. It's a really good interview, fun interview I did. And me and my co-host did, I should say, me and my friend Ed that do that podcast. Check that out. But yeah, that's a wrap for today, and we will see you guys next time. You guys have a good night.
All right, see you later, chat.